Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the best day of the week here on High Top Sports. Good to see you. I'm losing my bottom string here. Listen, we got a jam-packed show. We got DJ Lagway updates. We'll talk all about that, how he's looking. Billy Napier feeling very optimistic about him on Saturday. Is it a ploy? Is it a realistic thing? I don't know. We're going to talk all about it. Obviously, we're going to preview the game by the numbers. That's always fun to do. First week and probably all 8 weeks that it's looking glim, boys. Okay, we'll talk about it. Then some more injuries on the slate happened. We got some more information on that just a few days ago. You guys probably heard about that. We'll talk about that. Then a little bit of recruiting update. Seems like Napier and the boys are cooking up a little bit. And then the playoff bracket was released yesterday, which looks absolutely gorgeous. Looks like Christmas in November here. So we're going to talk all about that. But good to see you. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And we got, ladies and gentlemen, basically David Swolder Quiz is here with us on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. How you doing, big dog?
Good, man. Exciting week. I had a
busy week.
Pretty good weekend, but of course that Georgia game still lingers with me a little bit. Of course, you always wonder what happened, what would have happened if Lagway would have been healthy the whole rest of the game. I think Georgia loses that game considering how it was going. You also lose about 8 players defensively in the fourth quarter, which really doesn't help either because of the turf. But other than that, man, had a pretty good week. It's, like I said, high top Wednesday. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Billy B37 celebrates 16 months, best day of the week. Absolutely. Look, the lot of injuries. We're going to go over the injury report here in just a moment. It continues to grow like your Christmas wish list, and it's not the best, not the good kind of wish list. So we're going to talk about it. I know you and I, we were kind of bickering before the show about this Napier drama. It's frustrating. I feel like I would love to just go into these weeks and talk the game, but we are in a weird, unfortunate place as Gator Nation and as football fans. I had Drake Crane on. There was a lot of comments on the video. I think people appreciated it. Some people weren't fans of it. Again, the reason for bringing Jake on was a neutral perspective of the situation. I think he brought a lot of key components to me. As a fan, like you are, Dave, you're frustrated with it. It is funny because even in-house, there's a little turmoil. We got Mr. Stephen Harris. He's bought back in, and his perspective is appreciated. Somebody who's played the game, who's gone through a championship, who played for Zook, that's in a very similar situation. Him and I were talking about it the other night as well. Like, look, he's like, when Urban came in, after that first meeting, if there was a transfer portal and it was 2024, half of us would have been out that bitch. And he goes, he came in with a bunch of juniors that became seniors, and they had played very well. So it's interesting to see, again, there's so much change and evolution to this game that's moving very quickly. And I think everybody, we all want to win now, and I totally agree and get that. But I don't know. I feel like we feel like we feel like we know what we want, and then we kind of go back a few steps. I know some people don't feel that way. There is definitely the camp that have been on Fire Billy train, double down on Fire Billy train, and quadruple on Fire Billy train. And I feel like with each passing week, we continue to talk about it more and more. And I try to avoid it, but by golly, it just circles around and bites us in the ass week in and week out.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid it, man. I think I get about 5 DMs every single day talking about, are we really keeping him, or is it going to be this way? It's like, look, unless somebody comes out and officially says that that's what's going to happen from like the school or something along that nature, it's going to change day to day, week to week. I mean, these guys, these boosters, if anybody knows how Conjuring makes his mind up, it's like when a woman can't figure out what outfit to wear, out for the night. Like, that's kind of how it goes. It's like one week he's gonna keep him, next week he wants him gone. It's Signetti one week, it's Kiffin, then it's Ryan Day, then it's Franklin, and you're just hearing all sorts of stuff, and it's just like, man, I'm checked out of it already. Like, I'm waiting until the end of the season or until something officially gets said. Other than that, it's, with me, you're still holding on to a coach that has the worst winning percentage of 3-year head coaches right now, and it's probably going to get worse with Lagway out. I don't see him in the Texas game, but of course we have rumors of, Billy Napier saying, hey, maybe he might be ready, but I highly doubt it. Stage 2 hammy? Nah.
Crazy to me that's even a possibility. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds here. Justin Rourke says, where's Billy's press? They don't stream the Wednesday press. They haven't since the beginning of the season, so that was not live. Talked to Cam. There wasn't too much to really go about except the DJ Lagway, which was the big takeaway. Mondays are the real big presser now. This is just the Wednesdays are kind of quick touch-ups, and they talked to a few of the players. David Schlop says 4 teams in playoffs have coaches that coaches that have been at their team the same amount of time or shorter than Billy. Give Billy more time. Dur, dur, dur. Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of key components pointing to why we should move on, and I wasn't necessarily discussing with Dave on moving on, not moving on. I think the timeline is my issue, and I had a great conversation with Jay Crane about that. We kind of just compared to the stock market, like, is the market the right time? And Dave's like, I really don't care. Burn this to the ground. It doesn't really matter. Can't get any worse. But Keith Hathcock says, look,
nothing to mull over.
Look, Keith, $5 says, look, Sheldon, just because you slept with him again doesn't mean we're all dirty sluts. Fair enough. Fair enough. He gave me a good back rub, and look, I think
Hey, look, you can ask my wife whenever we're like, when she can't decide on something. I'm like, just do the damn thing. Just do it.
I don't know, man. I think I'm tired of resetting. I think where I'm at. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but I think it's more so what can you guarantee me? What can you go out there and get? And I'm not so certain that the guy out there I keep mentioning, Florida hasn't really proven to me that they're willing to go out and make a splash hire and do something big. And if you establish a president and you make some changes to the UAA, and I know there's a good foundation that's going to make that decision, then okay, let's rock and roll. But we are in shambles from top to bottom, left and right now. And I just don't feel like, a coach is going to fix that, because the guy that has made the poor decisions the last few times, essentially, I think would still be in the driver's seat, from my understanding, which is Scott Strickland. So I don't know, Davey Dave. You're the boss.
Hey, all I know is that we know what needs to be done, and that's just not from a coaching aspect. And we're still sitting here twiddling our thumbs when you could still fire an AD with an interim president, but we don't want to do that. We want an actual president that could come in here and be here for 2 days just to fire Strickland.
Look, I will agree. I think there is a Gator football. I mean, you got to believe. I think there's some people that were not happy, but appreciated the effort on Saturday. But right now, and I'm him just says like, hey, look, I'm I miss being excited about recruiting. Same here. I mean, that's a part of college football. That's the part that makes it great and exciting and separates it. That's been something that's been, not as exciting or electric. There is some news. We'll talk a little bit later on about a possible flip, but it's kind of like the duct tape meme again of like there's a lot of work to still happen. Look, I'm not trying to be negative, and I hate that we're in this rut right now. The DJ Lagway injuries really got me in shambles. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. So let's talk about DJ Lagway. Played a great game.
That kind of matters a little bit.
Yeah, playing a solid game on Saturday against the Dogs. Touchdown pass for 47 yards. He was 2 for 6 to go down, and people were like, it was 2 for 6. Listen, the guy brings the presence to the football field that we all love and adore. Goes down with a hamstring. So we got some more information on it. It's a grade 2 tear. When you look that up, Google it, go to your own web DM, own doctor. It shows 4 to 6 weeks, just depending on the person. However, Napier on Monday said they feel optimistic about it, not as severe as they thought, and even today doubled down on it. And you'll see when we should go over the chart that he is questionable for now, which, as we all learned with Cam Parker a few weeks ago, that allows for him to be to possibly play. Thursday, Friday is when it gets more legitimate, where they have to kind of make a decision to either whether it's game time. It may even come down to game time decision, to be perfectly honest with you. Aiden Warner, however, is taking QB1 snaps as of now. So that's, I think, the approach to it. They're saying Lagway really wants to play, going back to his hometown in Texas and then show out in front of the guys. Look, I mean, we've dealt with injuries ourselves. We've witnessed injuries in sports. I think the consensus here is like, there's no way you bring him back. If you do, then it's no way it's a series or even a grade 2. That's my thought process on it. And if it is and you bring him back, that's a major red flag for me. I don't understand the reason. And again, I understand your back's against the wall. There's a little sense of desperation mode for you if you're Billy Napier and the Gators. But do you risk your star guy? What are your thoughts, Davey Dave?
I don't think you risk your star guy just based off one game, and it's against a Texas team that, obviously they lost to Georgia, but I mean, The more physical teams, the more contact that's probably going to happen with your quarterback or close contact, pressure, all that kind of stuff. So, do you really take the risk in rushing Lagway back and having him roll out, having him do all this stuff with his legs if he has to avoid pressure, and to even maybe even re-aggravate the injury? If you re-aggravate the injury, then we're talking about he's out for the rest of the season. So, I think there's a decision that needs to be made, obviously, between Billy Napier and some of this medical staff here in Florida is like, is he actually really, really physically ready to go? Are we rushing him back too much? Like, as Billy Napier said, it's going to be monitored day to day. So Lagway could be really fully almost healthy and healed, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, he's 80, 90%. Let's rush him out there. What if he pulls it again? Then he's out for the rest of the year. Would it be better to just rest him for 1, 2, however long this thing quote unquote heals? I mean, I've looked up the actual stage 2, pull a hamstring stage 2. I looked up the recovery times, and the shortest one I could find was like, if you have the best recovery, I mean, he's young, so you have the best recovery, you have the best whatever. They have the best staff at Florida anyway over there with obviously you have health and all that, but like 2 to 4 weeks was like the lowest I seen it, and then the rest of them say like 6 to 8. Yep. 4 to 8, 6 to 8, 4 to 6, something like that. So,
look, I think I don't see Billy like playing this ploy for Texas. Like, hey, let's be prepared for DJ Lagway, and then we throw a surprise in Aiden Warner. Like, we're gonna surprise. We got you. Like,
yeah.
I don't see that. I really think they must feel somewhat optimistic about it. And again, I would be shocked. Look, maybe it's not as bad. Like, again, they say it's a great. I'm trying to wrap my head around this of like we said, we're looking at what we think it should take, and it's like a minimum of 2 weeks. But they're like, yeah, the guy's gonna be back in 3 days. He's a miracle worker. I'm like, you're screwing with me. Like, there's no possible way this could happen. Look, I would love it, and I hope that if they do send him out there on Saturday, that I would assume that everyone is on the page of like, yep, I'm good to go. Lagway's like, yep, it feels good to me. Doctors are like, yeah, it doesn't really show any signs. I'd be nervous the entire game. But again, going into this game, how we looked when he was in the game against Georgia, I felt very confident we could win that game, and I felt I would have been extremely confident headed into this game, even though when you look at the stats, it is daunting. But look, with the small thing we saw with Aiden Warner, I would be far fetched to sell you the sunshine to say, hey, he's going to come out here and do a thing. The kid can't sling the rock from the small film that I watched in his high school, but there is some concerns there. But with Mr. Lagway, it'll be something that we continue to keep in track. I'm shocked that here on Wednesday that he's been practicing. He's on the field. It's not like he's just hanging out. Like, he has been practicing. I'm assuming in a non-contact jersey. So he's been part of the team. I mean, to think that he is participating, that's a massive step. I wouldn't think you'd be participating this quickly if it was, a number 2. I would think you would take a whole week off. But I get it. What do I know? I'm sitting down.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how fast it heals. And look, I don't see it healing that fast in a normal human being, but this is a young kid we're talking about. So obviously younger people tend to heal a lot quicker than somebody 40 like me. So it's just like, you don't want to rush him back too soon. And I don't expect him to play against Texas. I expect it to be a blowout because it's just, I've seen Aiden Warner play enough already in that Georgia game. But like, I mean, unless you can get a run game, unless
2 quarters
can
there,
really,
like I've seen enough.
Unless you can really get a run game going, I mean, you're not going to have a shot against Texas. Now, of course, I've also thought about this scenario too. Is like, well, you're down to Aiden Warner. What happens if something happens to him? He's going to step in. Are we going to see Greg? Are you going to see Gregory Smith III start throwing passes since he played quarterback in high school?
Oh no, you and Cody and Harris. I'm losing all of you guys. Let's take a look and see it. Hold on, who's acting? I mean, he must be going to the comments because nobody's acting like, I'm not acting like he's making DJ play. I don't know. I gotta read the comments. The guys, it gets mad. It's maddening in the comments. We're just yelling at everybody anymore. I hate it. I hate when we lose because it's just bickering. There's not a sense of like kumbaya or anything. We do have some.
Man. I was about to say, everybody's happy right now.
Yeah.
Gator Nation, man.
Some unfortunate news. Trayon Webb and Trey Wilson are both out for the season. Season-ending surgeries. Was it a fibula, I believe, for Trayon Webb, and Eugene had a hip issue that's been nagging him. So both I believe can redshirt. Neither played enough games to where they can't medical redshirt. So good for them. I think that's good. So they didn't burn a season, and obviously dealing with injuries and things like that. And I'm unfortunate for Trayon. I saw you share that photo of him, Jaluk, Etienne, and Montrell. Body language has a lot. Now, obviously, they just lost. Trayon obviously has very shown to always want to be a winner. But I think some people were alluding, could he be leaving? Obviously, there's been a ton of noise for Eugene Wilson. Obviously, could he be going to the portal? It's going to be a big topic of conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys do, regardless of what happens. I think it's just going to be how this thing shakes up. But glad that they got it all fixed up and they're all good to go. But neither have announced a red shirt, from my understanding, yet. But the reason I told you is they probably, I assume they will, and as they should, because they're not playing. So it wasn't. But again, it's a little bit better than originally. Remember, they were kind of setting out that they just wouldn't play at all. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, man. I mean, you lose. And even watching Eugene Wilson this year after, he was originally injured the first, he didn't really look the same. So I think it was kind of smart for him to kind of just, get what he could get done and just call it. Like, literally, you want to call it a season at 4 games if you can't be 100%, because your dreams to go to the NFL, you really want to put on a show. You really want to be able to be full 100% for your team. You want to do all this kind of stuff. And when you have a nagging injury, that keeps on coming back and it gets worse every game and you can't be productive, it's better to just, hey, look, I played 4 games. Let's get this surgery. Let's recover. Let's see what happens next year. And then obviously Trayon Webb, he had a more disastrous injury there. I mean, really no choice with him. Obviously they'll get a red shirt, but I mean, it's a shame for them in general, because I feel bad for kids when they have season-ending injuries, because they really want to be out there with their team. They really, that's all the way across the board. Like, it just really sucks. It's like, somebody gets injured. Okay, cool. Maybe you hope that they're just hurt for like a game, or like maybe half a game or something small like that. But when it's like season ending, it really is like a gut punch to some of these players, man.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate to see it go down. Look, I mean, these 2 guys have been down for quite some time, so it hasn't been, and not that we could ever use them, but we fortunately have been able to continue to move forward without both of these guys. Look, the Lagway one is the more daunting one, in my opinion. So we'll see how it all shakes up come Saturday. But let's take a look at the injury report here for just a quick second, since we're talking about injuries. I mean, it's a long list, like our Christmas list. Ones that we kind of already knew: Jason Marshall, Jakeem Jackson, Eugene Wilson, Trayon Webb, Graham, Asa Turner is still out. We've never really got a full report on what's happened with Asa. Khalil Jackson's been out for most of the season. Devin Moore, which we saw him out of his jersey at the Georgia game, that didn't look too promising. He's out as well. Now, I know on Monday they said that they expect to have him back soon, so I don't think it's season ending for him. Devin Manuel, he's out as well. The Arkansas transfer, offensive tackle. Jamari Lyons obviously injured in the spring game. Montrell's questionable. He was going through reps at Georgia, so I'm hoping he's back. That would be promising. Again, Lagway's questionable, but then it gets a little sketchy here. Badger's questionable. Dejon Johnson's questionable, which is not good because, like I just said, there's 4 DBs already out. Damian George, which he was questionable last week. He got, I think, retweaked whatever was going on with him at the Georgia game. And Kim Jackson, questionable. I mean, when it rains, it pours, big fella. When it rains, it pours.
That's I was counting while you were mentioning the names. That's 16. But yeah, man, we got to blame the Jacksonville turf for that one. But yeah, man, just looking at the injury list, of course, you want Elijah Badger out there. He's your deep threat. Dejon Johnson had a good game against Georgia. Cam Jackson, Damian George. Actually, Damian George played a lot better this year, so I have to tip my hat to him. And, of course, Cam Jackson, your big D lineman there, obviously questionable. Hopefully he can get some of these guys back for the game. But, I mean, just looking at the list of people that are out for the season, out for the game, but some of these people, are out for the season. You're just like, wow, what's going on? And a lot of people are blaming strength and conditioning, which I guess in a way, a little bit you can, but like strength and conditioning doesn't help you avoid collision injuries. I mean, it's just you collide, you break something, or you tear something. I mean, you can do too much lifting and too much work and accidentally tear something, but with contact, anybody can tear something in any game like that. So, um, I hate it when people blame strength and conditioning all the time for that. I mean, yes, it does suck. I mean, there's been a lot of other years where we haven't had as many injuries like this, and everything's been fine. So it's like, it happens to every team. Every team one year will get an injury bug, and they just got to fight it. And Billy Napier being in year 3,
This
he
isn't a
recruited all
bug.
these guys.
This is a
This is
it's
the injury earthquake.
yeah, it's the whole damn jungle. Every animal there is.
I mean, look, this is why you go out and recruit depth. I mean, Kirby Smart has done it. You see it at LSU, you see injuries all the time, and this is why he's a year 3 head coach.
I mean, we're well past the depth. I mean, I hear you, but this is detrimental.
Hey,
this is pretty
hey,
brutal.
look, Georgia's going through it too. They're still winning games.
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think this is still above the most, and I'm not like making excuses. I think there's some questions of why there's a ton of so many injuries. Again, Aiden Turner blew his knee out against Miami and has been MIA ever since. I don't know if he can do a medical retro. I know he's kind of in his later career too, but
Who?
Aiden Turner. I don't know if he's already used it or not.
Yeah, I mean, he could if he wanted to. I mean, it's
Unless he already
up to
used it.
him.
I don't know if he used it when he was at Oregon. So, or was it Washington?
Maybe.
I think.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, 270 strong in here. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. And of course, this is by Tecovas, boys. I don't have boot cam, but I have got the boot sitting here right next to me. Look at these bad boys. Look at this. Smells delightful. Little Cova on the bottom already. Got to wear in. All these bad boys are ready. Look, they're sponsoring us all through the holidays. Fantastic company. Super pumped to be teamed up with them. A phenomenal boot. If you guys are rock yourself, you got a pair of boots yourself, go check them out. Again, I'm a big advocate of going into the store and going through the whole process. It's an incredible process. The leather they made, it's all handcrafted. They're from Texas. Fantastic company. When you put the boot on, it feels like you've had the boot forever. That's my favorite part about it. It just kind of hugs you like a nice warm hug. Already broken in. Usually when you kind of get a pair of boots, it takes a couple of days, couple of wears, hurts your feet a little bit. These bad boys, they obviously had that new wear to them, but I mean, after a couple of steps in them, I was rock and rolling. It's like I've had them forever. So absolutely love them. They smell good, feel good. And of course, they look good, baby. They're at Tecovas. So be sure to head on over to tecovas.com/hightop to get 10% off when you sign up with emails and text. Again, head on over to tecovas.com/hightop. Point your toes west, baby. Now, let's talk about this before we get into the game. We break down Texas versus Florida by the numbers a little bit. The bracket, the playoff, the seeding was released last night, and my golly, when they were going through it, man, I was like, this is electric. We needed this. Should have been sooner. But it's gonna be fun to see. Like, this is the first true projection of how much of this stays true to the end of the year, given the fact that you still have to have Georgia play Tennessee, Texas plays Texas A&M, Georgia and Tennessee plays. It's not gonna be nowhere close to this, in my opinion. SMU isn't in the conversation right now, but they more than likely will be playing Miami in the ACC Championship. That's going to speak volumes. Notre Dame still has to play a few big ones. Ohio State and Indiana have to play each other. Oregon and Ohio State or Indiana will probably play each other in the Big Ten. This thing is going to be more than shaken up by the end of it, but it's really cool to see it all shaken up right now and to see how it'll work. Again, just looking at this, think about this. Ohio State, Boise State. That game's going to be played at Ohio State for the first playoff game. Indiana at Tennessee for a playoff game. Alabama at Texas for a playoff game. And then Notre Dame, whiteout Penn State. I mean, if it were to end today, we would be absolutely spoiled. I think the only thing that's not sexy on this calendar would be the Boise State-Ohio State game. But who knows? Maybe Gentry does something special if that were to be the case. But I think Boise State might be a shocker, being that they could slide in and be a 4 seed, to be honest with you, if they're the highest rated conference champion over that Big 12 championship, because that's still kind of open for their grabs too.
Yeah, I think Boise State's got the Heisman favorite right now, unless something happens. Hey, look, Travis Hunter's up there too, so I don't want to say that like, hey, Travis Hunter is burnt toast or anything like that, because he does make lots of plays on offense and defense, and I think that's very worthy of winning a Heisman too. But we'll see how that goes, man. There's a lot of candidates. They'll drop and they'll come back. That
They
kind of
really
stuff. But
want to
just
give it to
looking at
Cam. They really want to give it to Cam. I mean, the campaign's already starting for Cam. It's unbelievable.
I mean, Miami fans do. But like, I mean, you look at this, like you said, we are spoiled, and this is like, I remember everybody complaining about it at first, and I'm like, yeah, college football's changing. But like, when I really sat down, I thought about it. I was like, man, look at all these games we get to watch. Like when it becomes playoff time, like this is like you call your buddies up. You're like, hey, I got the playoff games over at the house. Like the whole day, you're just sitting there watching playoff games from like to like dusk to dawn. Like it's cool. Like we used to get together for like the 14 playoffs, the semifinals, all that stuff, and like that was it. You just had a 14 playoff. But now you have all the rest of these teams in this playoff, and now you're gonna have extra. Like this gives teams like a more fair chance, I think, obviously, to playoff. But
Sure.
now you're gonna have people saying, "Oh well, we should have been in the playoff because of we were 13 or wherever they didn't get us in there." But like now, what's going to be really funny, and I'm in a group chat with a bunch of like Florida State, Miami. It's like a rival chat, and I said, wouldn't that be something if like Miami somehow got knocked down to 5 and made it in the playoff because Florida State didn't the year before?
That'd be mayhem. But look, I think what's cool to look at is look, these games are what would typically be just bowl games. Indiana, Tennessee, which would be a fun bowl game, Alabama, Texas, but the bowl games have lost their lust because they don't mean anything. And so we always, at the end of the year, the conferences like to talk shit of like which conference is better because the only time the other conferences you cross play would be in the bowl game. You get this now at an elite level, which also makes it exciting. Indiana, Tennessee at Tennessee would never happen. That's not like that's unheard of with a playoff atmosphere.
You also eliminate a lot of meaningless bowl games. Like nobody's going to opt out. They have a shot. If you have a shot for a playoff, you're not opting out. Like
Correct.
It doesn't matter what your draft status is. So
Correct.
I like this a lot better because you see less of that and you get to see more people playing.
In these games now, that people were arguing that the regular season games wouldn't matter as much, but there's teams that you see A&M. They're the second team out. SMU is the first team out. Those two teams, how they finish out this season is going to play a huge factor. Now A&M has to play Texas. SMU more than likely will play Miami in the ACC championship, so they don't look at ACC very valuable at all because SMU has one loss, and their one loss is to an undefeated BYU team. Yet they still have Boise State, who has a loss in front of them, who plays in a weak. I would argue a weaker conference. That's a little much there, in my opinion. I think it's because I think it's because they're favoring them to win the MAC. That's probably why they have them up there. I think SMU should be in front of Alabama. I think there's extreme logo fever there. I hate that Indiana is behind Penn State. I think there's a disrespect to Indiana, but the season will work itself out. But right now, I think there was a few overrated teams. I thought about making like a top 5 overrated teams thus far from the original playoff rankings. And I've got a few other ones. Obviously, I think Miami is a little overrated, but they're leading the ACC, so they're in the right spot. But I think that they'll be exposed here over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure the Miami fans will love hearing that and will call me a moron and all those fun.
Oh, that thing's getting clipped, man. It's gonna get shared.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Let's
Yeah, but that whole thing, like the thing about Miami is their backfield defense sucks. Their whole defense sucks. So when they play a team that has an actual pulse with an offense and a defense, they're gonna lose. But go ahead.
We're going to talk about the Pick'ems. I mean, they played Georgia Tech this week, and we all know what Georgia Tech was able to do to FSU. Now we know what FSU wasn't much, but I'm interested to see how that Georgia Tech defense holds up against Miami. But Georgia Tech's kind of slipped over the past couple of weeks, so they're not as sexy and shiny as they were that first couple of weeks when they took down FSU. They were my knight in shining armor. I don't think they'll be that again this coming week, but we'll see. Here it is, boys. By the numbers, we do this week in and week out. And look, I like doing this because I'm able to see the progression and degression that Florida has throughout the year. They took a lot of steps back last week in these categories. Defensively, I think it was pretty close. Offensively, took a step back. Passing offense took a step back. Rush defense took a step forward. And then I want to say pass defense was pretty neutral. So defense ranked 81 for Florida. Texas, number 1 defense right now. Number 1 defense.
And you got a third string quarterback from Yale playing against the number 1 defense.
Listen here, guys. I'm not making excuses, but we played Miami. I think they had the top rated. They've got a top 10 defense. We played A&M. They've got a top 10 defense. We played Tennessee. They had a top 10 defense. UCF did not. Georgia did. I mean, by golly. Unbelievable the slate that these boys have been going through. Offense, Texas ranked 16th. Florida ranked 69th. And look, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt because with DJ Lagway out, that offense is going to be questionable. We don't know. We don't know what Aiden Warner, what exactly he can bring. We don't know how much he's going to unlock or, close to that offense. I think we have an idea. I don't want to be pessimistic on it, but I don't feel very sexy about it either. Rushing offense, Texas is 65th. They're down to their third string running back, so that isn't too surprising. They're down to the Jadon Blue and Jarrett Gibson, two very viable running backs, but they had C.J. Baxter and I can't think of their second string, but they had a slew of studs that went down in the spring game, which was unfortunate. So the fact that they're doing what they're doing, I mean, obviously the rest of the team is really good, but those guys have stepped up in the running back room for them. Passing offense, they rank 13th with old Quinn and Archit back there slinging the rock. I think their numbers are a bit skewed, to be perfectly honest with you, up until Georgia. I mean, their schedule was pretty bleak. Michigan, Oklahoma were the two true tests. So I'm not as intimidated with Texas as I was with Georgia, to be perfectly transparent. The lack of DJ Lagway scares me. But I wasn't going into this game. I was honestly feeling quite confident, just given how they looked a little flustered with that Georgia team, just a few weeks ago. Rush or pass defense, they rank first, which scares the living shit out of me with Warner. But again, thinking about the teams they played, Michigan, run the ball. Oklahoma was in shambles with their quarterback situation. Carson Beck, we saw what he did last week. He'll make any defense look like a Heisman candidate. So it's probably a little bit skewed because they've literally faced some of the three worst offensive production teams leading up into this game. And then they had kind of a couple cupcakes. So how much do you put into it? It's tough. Even this far into the season, and you're kind of scratching your head with some of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're going to be getting some tests because the meat of their schedule is coming up. They'll have Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M. Texas A&M should be a good game between them and Texas. I mean, like, now, if you were to ask me, if we still had DJ Lagway, what we did to Georgia, like, before he got hurt, who knows how that game would have went anyway. I'm not going to say we would have won or lost, but I think our chances would have been greater to win if he stayed in the game. But we still wound up taking the L, so it's just an L. They played Georgia, 30 points, 15. But, like, if you were to ask me before any of this started, and we played Georgia like we did, say we still took the L, even with Lagway, I would feel way more confident playing Texas right now. I mean, you look at Vanderbilt, they only beat them by 3 points. Now, Vanderbilt is a much more improved Vanderbilt this year. We can all argue that. They beat Alabama. They took Texas to the ropes. And Pavia is a really good quarterback. Still, it is embarrassing to say you lost to Vanderbilt still, but they are an improved team. But yeah, I mean, like, if we had Lagway, I would sit here and tell you that, like, man, we may have a chance to win this game. Unfortunately, you don't have Lagway. You're up against the number one passing defense. You have a third string quarterback from Yale passing the football. Who knows what they do? Like, maybe if he's not the answer, maybe they throw a wrench in there. Maybe they put somebody in there we don't think would be in there and they've been taking snaps, but I highly doubt it because if they have, you would have heard that about it in practice. So, I mean, this is it. Like, I hope they're ready. I hope Aiden Warner's ready because he's going to have one hell of a test on Saturday.
Look, I'm going to do a little sunshine pumping here. A little bit of Disney Gator, be a little optimistic about this. Not to tell lies or anything, but I think Aiden Warner, let's give him some credit, comes into a hostile game, doesn't make any mistakes until the end there where he threw that pick. But up until that point, played a very viable game. He kept it in between the lines, drove down the field at one point, had a fourth and fourth play where he executed to give us an opportunity to kick a field goal that we did not execute. Right? Or we did. Right before the half we did. To go up 13-6 before the half. So he was doing some things right. With a week under his belt, I think they go back to more of a Mertz style check down, keep it simple. The run is going to have to be effective. So I think they're going to be able to kind of play their game and do what they were doing against Georgia, right? Look very good on defense. The offense is going to have to get into a rhythm. What concerns me is just, look, we haven't really got the ball moving. And if it's a close one, like it was with Georgia at the end there, I don't see Warner stepping up and being that guy. And it's not even a shot. It's just the guy's a freshman. Walk on. You know what I mean? Like, look, we've been surprised by other things, but I don't think he's going to come out there and be a complete dud. I could be wrong, I will say that the quarterback development, I think, would be probably one of Billy's strong suit and O'Hara. They've done a great job, I think, of having these guys prepared week in and week out for the most part. And I think they'll have Warner prepared as much as possible. But I know Texas is going to throw the kitchen sink at it, and hopefully they're preparing him to say, hey, let's create some outlets for you to be able to get this thing out fast. Someone like Eugene Wilson would be huge in this, but Aiden Mizell had some big time plays last week. Maybe we get him involved more. So there's positives from that standpoint. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't want to be complete doom and gloom headed into this part of it. I do want to say, look, let's talk about recruiting just for a short bit. There's a little bit of smoke, I guess, a possible flip. I was checking. There was a tweet. If you look on three, there's a small percentage for Mr. Tramel Jones, quarterback from FSU, 4-star quarterback. He's a Mustang up here in Jacksonville, Mandarin, from Mandarin High. That's been a conversation. I know Tramel Jones was always kind of on Florida's list. He's always been part of that conversation. There was early conversations he could flip, and then he shut down his recruitment back when FSU kind of made everybody shut down their recruitment, including Solomon Thomas, who Florida was heavily actively involved with as a 5-star lineman. I would love for the Tramel Jones plus the Thomas. I would love a little combo duo package if that's possible. And look, I don't want to be depressing here, but Tramel Jones would be great. But again, there's still, like we've all said, a long way to go. But there is some promise. That's a good sign, I guess. Maybe there's a turn. There's a more support coming because it's been quiet on the recruiting front. Day, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I like it when I can go to 24/7 Sports and not have to hit load more after I pass the ranked 50th in recruiting. But hey, look, it's November, and we might finally have a quarterback in our class, Shelton. I mean, that's something to talk about. So, I mean, look, over the summer there were rumors that Tramel Jones could flip to Florida. Never came to, whatever. And look, if you flip him, cool. Nobody's going to be excited about it, but at least it gives us something, right? So, look, you look at a kid that's from that school. He has decent statistics. I'm not going to say it's eye-popping. It's not Lagway, obviously, but he is a top 250 quarterback, and he's earned that for a reason. And he started out as a 3-star. He's earned his 4-star, got a top 250. Got to give him, some credit for that. But, I mean, right now, Florida is at a spot to where if they can get anybody, they're going to take them. So, if they happen to pull off this flip, if you want to look at it in a more positive way, it's like, hey, look, we finally got a quarterback in the class, and we just took one from FSU who's struggling right now with their class, who are 1-8 right now, and they're probably going to get destroyed by Notre Dame.
That's gonna be another tough one for them. I think they're one of the worst teams in college football, which is fun to see that go down with that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Tramel Jones. And again, just all in all, he has 2 5-star wide receivers, I believe. Jamie French, who committed to Texas, is one of them, and I want to say there's one more. So there's some dogs out there at in Mandarin, Jacksonville. So we've got some talent from there, from up in that Jacksonville Trayons, from not Mandarin, but he's from that area. Charisse from Bartram, Pyburn's from Bowles. So there's some talent that comes out of this Jacksonville up by myself here in this area. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, that's kind of there's a couple of 3-star offensive linemen. Again, nothing's too sexy at this moment. But let's get into our Pick'em show. Before we do that, of course, the show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Now, boys and girls, I showed this on Monday. The boy hit. Okay? Told you 55.5 more for Cade Otton. He balled out with, I think, 1 or 2 tutties. Baker Mayfield at the buzzard, more than 1.5 touchdowns, scores a touchdown to go into overtime. I was sweating this one out. And then Mr. Patty Mahomes, more than 199 passing yards. So that was a little doozy there, but felt good. I've been on a burner with the picks, boys. You guys have been hammering the code at High Top, and I appreciate it. It was fantastic. Like I always tell you, as soon as the win went in, the money was back in my account for 15 minutes, ready to rock and roll. We will have a lineup for tomorrow, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that if you do want to tail us. But be sure to download the PrizePick app. Use the code HIGHTOP when you play. When you play your first $5, you get back $50 in free moolah that you can play. And when you do win that, it's legit moolah. So take a look at it again. Download the app PrizePicks. Use the code HIGHTOP, and PrizePicks run your gate. Now let's get into our pick'ems here. Last week, Dave, you had a great week last week. I blunted the ball. You did very well and
I looked at
tightened it up.
I was watching some of the scores of those games, and I was like, I think I did pretty good.
Yeah, look, Cowboy Ty missed it last week, and I was like, there's no, I mean, he's in shambles. He's lost his boat here. So I was like, no point in bringing him back. He forfeited himself here, but it's 38-33. You and I are in a tough one here. We've got a great week coming up here. $2 from Gator Wave says, Big Lou reaction when DJ threw that bomb. Oh, I didn't see that. That would have been great to watch. I didn't get a chance to even see that. That would have been, I was going ape shit. I was going absolutely, as soon as he stepped in the pocket.
The thing about it is, like, I felt like we could have done that all game because, like, Mizzell was wide open. Like, there was nobody around him at all when he caught that. And I'm like, and you're watching the rest of that game, and like Georgia's giving up like yardage, and obviously Lagway goes down. We know the whole situation with that. And you're just like, man, what if we just had an average backup quarterback? We probably still could have won that game. I mean, we had them tied all the way until late in the fourth quarter.
Ugh. Why do you remind me, Dave? We were good. We're going on to pickups. What are we doing here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We got the Sooners at Mizzou. Mizzou are the underdogs here. They're getting 3 at home. I couldn't believe it. And I get it. They haven't looked very sexy. And I think Brady Cook is still out, and I think that's the problem. And I had Mizzou earlier on in the season here. I just can't find myself picking the Boomer Nation here. I gotta go Mizzou Tiggs here. Maybe they figure it out, but I don't think so.
That one is tough, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it interesting since it's just us two. I'll go ahead and pick Oklahoma.
Okay, I love it. Keeping it close here. We got Alabama versus LSU at LSU. Huge one for playoff implications here. I think this is make it or break it for Alabama and for LSU. This is the season on the line. So, and Brian Kelly's on the. I mean, would he be on the hot seat? I don't know. The LSU, they're tired of losing. Got a great recruiting class, so probably not. But LSU's getting 3 at home. Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with LSU there, man. Just that stadium, those fans, the way Alabama's been playing this whole season. LSU had a really pretty good game against A&M. A&M is, well, I was going to say was leading the SEC, but they got crushed by South Carolina last week. So, and I think I picked South Carolina because of their D-line, but I can't remember. But give me LSU.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I think Bama's defense hasn't shown to be very promising. Garrett Nussmeier is a true quarterback. He's played well. I know A&M kind of shut him down there at the end of the game there, but they kind of really just closed down the run game and allowed for Garrett to make a lot of mistakes. I don't know. Bama hasn't really turned it around. I think they're in shambles, and I think you're right. I think DeBoer is going to go into that stadium and be shook a little bit. I know he's not playing, but I just see him getting rattled. Now, Brian Kelly understands the assignment. I think he gets it done. We got the Buffs at Texas Tech. This is huge implications for how the Big 12 could shake up as well. The Buffs sitting in third now behind Iowa State and BYU. They've got to win out to get in, but also need some help in front of them. This is a big game for them. And Texas Tech is kind of somewhat in it too with only 3 losses. So another big playoff implication game for both of these teams. Not as sexy as this game up here, but still a close one. I like the Buffs here to cover by 7 or 10. I just think that offense has been unreal, and the Buffs defense is going unnoticed, but that Buffs defense has really figured it out. And Texas Tech, although they took down a good Iowa State team last week, I don't think they strike lightning twice. Dave?
Yeah, I've noticed Colorado's been slowly but surely getting a little bit better as the season goes on, and that spread with just plus 3.5. I can't pick Texas Tech. I'm gonna have to go with the Buffs. Everything you said though, like, is the same reason why I'm going with Colorado. So I mean, you basically took the words out of my mouth because I was agreeing with you anyway. So I knew I was gonna pick Colorado right as you did.
I love it. We have the Dogs at Ole Miss. I keep saying it, and it's gonna continue to be true. Massive playoff implications here. You got Ole Miss sitting at 16 on the outside looking in. Feel like they kind of they're getting a little shade because I think their 2 losses were a little ugly. Georgia's sitting at number 3 right now. This could really rattle their future, but they can lose this game and still make the playoffs, mind you. Ole Miss cannot lose this game. If they lose this game, it is all but over. And if, as Florida fans, like we were talking before the show, if you want this man that's running that old huddy-tuddy offense, you might be cheering for a dog this weekend. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss has the SEC's passing leader, and Georgia, I mean, look, Beck has not looked the same. Like, I think he's thrown 10 or 11 interceptions the past 3 games, something like that. Insane, just it's crazy the statistics he was putting up the year before. This year, you come here and it's just not as good. Like, I have to go with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss torches them in the backfield. I think that, that 63 points they put on Arkansas, I think that was kind of sending a message saying, "Hey, look, we're coming for you, and we're coming for this SEC." So I'm gonna have to pick Ole Miss. You're gonna give them 3 points too. I'll take it all day.
I gotta go with the dogs here. It's more for because I want Ole Miss out the picture. I'm gonna leave it at that. I want them out the picture because if you're what you and I argued before the show, and you want all these things to happen, this has to happen. And I don't know. I mean Lane has yet to prove me right to win the big one. This is it. I mean, this is. I mean, you have built up to this moment. You lost against LSU. And this is my reason for being a little hesitant on Lane. He's like a little Franklin Ryan Day that just can't seem to get it over the hump. You feel like it could be this year? I don't hate it. We got Michigan at the Hoosiers. Hoosiers are constantly just being disrespected. They're my favorite team in college football right now. Last year it was Michigan. I love the fact that they were being called cheaters and Harbaugh was like, who's got it better? Nobody. I love finding little stories throughout college football and the nuances like that. It makes it fun for me. Indiana is that team this year. Kurt, Google me. I mean, I'm bought in, and the fact that they just keep annihilating everybody that's coming through them, and they continue to be overlooked because their schedule is not hard enough. They're playing in the same damn conference as Penn State. Okay, bitch. So let's give them some respect. And not only are they beating them, they're mopping the floor with them. This is Indiana that we're talking about here. Okay, haven't had a top 30 ranking class since 1945. All right, give them some love. Penn State's trash. Give me the Hoos minus 15.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't see Michigan even coming close to beating Indiana. I mean, they've just been awful ever since they can't cheat anymore, and Harbaugh's gone, and it's like it's like the ultimate collapse. Like it's like when we said like LSU a while back sold their soul for a national championship. Well, I think Michigan did the same thing, except they got a lot of in trouble with the NCAA, and now they kind of suck. So yes, I'm going with Indiana, even with that spread. I think it should be higher.
2021 wouldn't surprise me. Miami at Georgia Tech. I got Miami there twice. I messed up, but Georgia Tech plus 11. You would think this game's more of a 14 spread, right? That 11 there is kind of enticing at Georgia Tech. Miami's defense is a little sus, but their offense is just continues to score and score and score. This Georgia Tech defense is a little promising. Could be some hope there. I think one of the better defensive teams they played. Georgia Tech has been slow. I want to pick Georgia Tech here. I like 11. I don't know what it is. Could it be like the Duke game? Could it be like the California game? I think Georgia Tech has the ability to get it done, but they've been on a little bit of a slouch. Am I being too emotional here? Probably. Give me Miami. Because if I lose this bet, I'm going to be okay with it.
I'm picking Miami too. I don't believe in Georgia Tech at all. Like look, they're getting by these games somehow for the skin of their teeth. They'll be down to Cal by like 35-10, and then all of a sudden the star power turns on, and for some reason nobody can stop them. Look, I'm picking Miami. Even with the plus 11, I just think that Cam Ward in that backfield with Restrepo and the other receivers that they have, like that's a hard combo to stop. I will give Cam Ward his flowers. They haven't played a ranked team yet, though, so I'm really curious to see what happens when, obviously if they go to the ACC championship. Clemson doesn't even really look that good, to be honest. They could probably beat them if they make it there, but I don't know who's going to make it there in the ACC championship. But I got to go with Miami, but who knows? They're so up and down. They'll be down by like 20, and then they come back, and you think they're going to lose, and it's crazy. I mean, they're just an up and down team. So they always pull off W.
Yeah, they've been pulling them off, man. It's unfortunate. I'm taking the Gators boys. Billy May not win games, but he wins the spread, so I'm taking boys that get that 21.5, regardless of what happens. I'm sticking true to my guns here. What do you got? You like Texas? You're a hater.
Texas easy. Nope. I just I've seen enough of the third string quarterback already. So
Oh my gosh. Gators by a million, boys. You know how I rock and roll here. Look,
hey, look. They better hope their offensive line plays really good because they're going to need to run the ball and protect that quarterback. So
yeah, look, I think there's going to be some adjustments made. I mean, the O-line has been playing better. Damian George being questionable is never fun, but those boys have been doing a lot better job, and hopefully they can. I mean, look, Warner had time. That wasn't a question last week. He had time. I just think that
yeah,
there were some struggles, and I think there was maybe a little bit of an adjustment period of, they probably had a game plan for DJ Lagway, and they weren't prepared for that. I don't know. Again, that's a question. That's a huge issue.
wouldn't it be something if it was like the 2014 Georgia game where we have like
Yeah, we
just
just
run the
rushed the
ball
shit out
like
of it. Yeah.
480 yards and play good defense, and because the defense been playing better, so
They found a switch, and look, I mean, another week of going through adversity and having being punched in the mouth. This team is yet to sell out, so it'll be exciting to see how they come back at it again. I'm going to be tuned in, regardless of what's going on here. It's been a
I
long
ain't feeling
football
too
season.
good about it.
It's been a long football season, boys, but good to have you on this beautiful Wednesday. I know that the Wednesdays have got a little crowded from my understanding, but I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us and showing us your love. So be sure to, of course, smash the like button, subscribe, tell someone you love them. Mr. David Swaterquist, pleasure as always,
That's
big
it.
guy.
Pleasure as always, and hey, remember that I'll be down there for the LSU game. I actually have an extra ticket, so maybe we'll do something with that. Maybe we won't. We'll figure it out. I don't know. Somebody might call me in the last hour and be like, "Man, I need a ticket to the game." So we'll see what happens.
Boys and girls, check out PrizePicks Tecovas. Smash the like button. We love you. Peace and love, baby.